So if you watched Tyson Fury's video with IFL TV, you'll have heard the disappointing news that most likely this fight is not going to happen in November 2015, as was initially predicted by Peter Fury, but actually may be delayed into 2016, potentially as late as February 2016. Now, you know, looking at that, that's actually a 4-month delay from when the fight was initially scheduled. Maybe even longer than that. So this is a more substantial delay than it first appeared, which is relevant because realistically, if the fight was only delayed for 4 weeks, Fury could maybe have stayed in camp, you know, got in even better shape for the fight. Whereas realistically now, if we're looking at it being, you know, February 2016, Fury's probably going to have to break camp. He's probably going to have to be in training camp over the Christmas period, and he's not going to be able to enjoy in the new year. Having looked at some of the Fury's comments, both Tyson Fury in the interview with IFL TV, as well as Peter Fury in an article that was on Boxing Scene today, it appears that they think it's a psychological point-scoring exercise. You know, that having seen Tyson Fury in the flesh, having seen his size, having seen the kind of condition he was in, they wanted to have more time to prepare. I'm not overly sure I buy into this. You know, Wladimir Klitschko's in the autumn of his career. He's 39 years old, and he's kind of at the stage now where each month that's delayed is probably an advantage to Tyson Fury, because the one thing that can be sure is that the one thing that will eventually beat Wladimir Klitschko is Father Time. And, you know, maybe that Wladimir could go on and continue being a great champ at 40, at 41, at 42, but there's a finite limit of how far he can go on before his skills start reducing and his reactions decrease, etc. So I don't tend to think that they've pulled out of this fight because they need more time to prepare. You know, Wladimir Klitschko is the consummate professional. Wladimir Klitschko is always in condition. He's always ready to go. He's always in shape. Realistically, Wladimir Klitschko is the man to beat in the heavyweight division, and I don't necessarily see it as likely that he's withdrawn from this fight because he's scared of what he's seen in Tyson Fury, and he feels he needs more time to prepare. You know, this is a guy who's beaten Pulev, this is a guy who's beaten Povetkin and Jennings relatively recently as well. So I don't see that as likely. I'm inclined to believe it is a genuine injury. Regardless, it's bad news for all involved. It's delayed to 2016. You know, potentially you could make an argument that there's some advantage there to Tyson Fury and that Klitschko will be another 4 months older. Obviously that's only a marginal advantage, but there is a thing in boxing where people can get old overnight, and you never know if this could be the occasion where it happens to Wladimir Klitschko. As for Tyson Fury himself, he made some very interesting comments as to why the fight would be delayed to 2016. It appears that actually, and it's hard to know how much to trust this or how much to read into it, but it certainly appears that Eddie Hearn and the pay-per-view model is somewhat involved here. Essentially, obviously, we know Eddie Hearn's going to have the Kell Brook Chavez pay-per-view in October, and he's got the Dillian Whyte Anthony Joshua pay-per-view in December, and as a result, it would be impossible to get a date in pay-per-view in November. Now, it's hard to believe that that would actually be the reason why this fight can't happen in November. If everything's ironed out with the Klitschko side, if Tyson's ready to go, it's hard to genuinely believe that that would be the reason for the delay in the fight. I mean, surely Wladimir Klitschko wouldn't want to delay just because of Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's not involved with Wladimir Klitschko. He just owns the UK TV rights. But nevertheless, that's what Tyson Fury was blaming it on. So that's interesting. And if anyone knows any information or can provide any clarity on that, please do comment below. But Eddie Hearn having the card in February probably does tie in very well with his pay-per-view model. It allows the public, you know, a good sort of 8-week break after the Anthony Joshua Dillian Whyte fight to recoup before going again on pay-per-view. So it does now look like we're going to have pay-per-views October, December and February. You know, so month on, month off, month on, month off. So they're becoming more and more regular. I found it quite entertaining. I mean, Tyson Fury must be giving Eddie Hearn a massive headache with this, but he was saying, when on earth can a top fight for the British heavyweight title, you know, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, be pay-per-view? Why don't they stick me and Klitschko on and have Joshua Dillian Whyte on the undercard? And I can certainly see where he's getting that. You know, obviously that's not what Eddie Hearn wants to do. He wants to get your money twice. He wants you to pay for Joshua Whyte, then he wants you to pay for Fury Klitschko. and I probably will be paying for both. I'm sure lots of people out there will be as well. Fury also seemed bemused that Kell Brook versus Diego Chavez would be pay-per-view without him on the card. He certainly commented that he was the pay-per-view, and I think he's got more of a point with that one. I don't think the fact that Kell Brook's for a world title, whereas Anthony Joshua Dillian White is for a British title, is necessarily relevant in determining how a pay-per-view is going to sell. I think Joshua Dillian White's going to be very much hyped. It's obviously a heavyweight class, domestic heavyweights, and I think realistically that's going to generate huge interest. I think the Kell Brook fight, even though it is for a world title, possibly less so. In fact, I've done a video on that urging people not to buy it, so please check that out. But I think Tyson Fury is certainly giving Eddie Hearn some grief about these pay-per-views. He seems as upset about it as I do, especially the Kell Brook one. So that's certainly entertaining. But wanted to cover the news that the fight looks like it's going to be in February rather than this year. I'd said something different on the channel previously, so thought I'd better post a quick video to cover that off. Let me know your thoughts on this. Thanks for watching.